Welcome back to What's on My Needles, and this week I will be working on a new glove pattern. So this pattern is lacework, and it is inspired by peacock feathers. So I'm seeing how much of it I can get on the camera. So this will be a pattern that I'm going to sell. I'm going to fix the super dark section in the written pattern, and I will be making a second pair to reflect that change. But I would like to have a pair that actually match for this. Now some of you may remember my older video about making the wrap sweater. This is in fact the same yarn. This is the leftovers from that project. I actually have ended up with a lot of leftovers from larger projects. I'm trying to find ways to use them up. So again, this is the first one, back on size 6 needles as normal. This is actually knit flat. Yes, I do knit everything on circulars, but it is knit flat. The orange or the yellow and red is actually just lacing it up like a corset. So that's all that line is, which also allows this to expand to a couple different sizes because it doesn't have to be fully tight, as you can see, or you can make it fully tight if that is what you prefer. So I'm going to get set up and I'll be right back. I've done the first several rows. I haven't gotten to the first decrease yet, but I have done the first several rows. And I'm going to show you a little bit about what I'm doing. So the first thing I do is I slip that first stitch because that's what I do for every project. Then I'm doing a yarn over, but that's a yarn over to get ready for a purl. So I brought the yarn from the front to the back over the needle. Then I'm purling through 2, and that's to make the lacing eyelets or holes or whatever we want to call them for this project. I'm going to knit 2, yarn over. This one is a yarn over to knit next. So from front to back, then back to the back again. I'm going to do a central double decrease. So in my case, that's a slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over. Then I'm going to do the yarn over again and knit 2. And that's going to continue all the way across. And then pretty soon I'm going to start working on, actually I goofed a little bit. So this is actually where that next set of feathers starts. So I'm going to knit those 2 stitches together and yarn over and knit 1, and that's the beginning of the next feather. So we'll continue that all the way across, and I'll keep working up. I will come back and show you how I do the decreases along the edge in a little bit. So as usual, I've gone a little bit farther than originally intended. Now, this blank section is the section I'm going to fix in the actual pattern, but I wanted it to match the first pair. So I'm back to an eyelet row, so I'm yarning over, purling 2 together, and then I'm knitting 2 together. So I'm actually putting, in this case it's a SSK. Knit, knit, purl. And now I'm actually going to be working all the way across, doing the cable pattern. And before I get too far, or not the cable pattern, the lace pattern. Sorry, so used to cable work. So I was just checking my original. So it's not going to be this row, it's going to be the next row that has something a little funny in it. or next right side row. Purl, knit, knit, and this is the knit 2 together, slip, slip, purl, yarn over, knit. The other thing I'm going to fix is the selvage edge. I'm going to actually do another knit and then the slip at the end. So this is part of why most of us who write patterns, actually almost all of us who write patterns, really do actually knit them and see what happens when we knit them up the way that they are in our head. So if they match or if they don't match. Because in this case, it does not match in any way, shape, or form. It got close, but not quite what I wanted. And for the final pattern, I'm probably actually going to change the yarn entirely over to a metallic or to a sock yarn or something else. But I really did need a practice run. And I tend to wear black because I work in the theater a lot as a technician. And even if that wasn't the case, these still work with most of my quote pretty tops as something that I can wear going out to see a show. Okay. So I'm knitting to there, purl, knit 2 together, yarn over. So again, all the way through the normal lace pattern. This is just lace chevrons. And then I'm to this center rib. And let me show you with this on so it's a bit easier to see. What I'm doing to make that thumb gusset is I'm just yarning over without the corresponding knit 2 togethers, or without the corresponding decreases. So that's just how that's done. It just is in pattern. So yarn over, knit 1, yarn over is how that's going to start. And that's actually how most of it is going to go. Again, there's no corresponding decreases to take those extra stitches out, so that there's enough fabric to go through the meaty part of my hand. So I'm going to keep working with this basic idea all the way up to the top. And I'll show you what they both look like when they are both done. And here they are. They're the finished 2 gloves. Finished except for the obligatory ends I need to weave in. So as you can see, it goes from just below my knuckles to just above my just below my elbow on both sides. This was the first trial run of these. The lacing is just like a corset. Because it's knit, obviously you don't have to relace every time you get in. So this is the section I'm not liking. So this is good enough for mine, but for a finished pattern, I will be redoing the chart a little bit so that this blank section on both the palm side and back side have lacework. I do not block my stuff. I know that is sacrilege to most knitters. Because these go to the shape of my hand, I don't feel like I need to. Also, it's acrylic yarn, and acrylic yarn doesn't block. That's just something to keep in mind when you are choosing your fibers. Wool and other natural fibers tend to actually block and keep their blocked shape until you wash them. Acrylic yarns, you can try to block, and sometimes you can get some of your wonky stitches out or fix some of your tension issues, but it's not going to stay at a much larger or much smaller size, because the plastic fibers, frankly, don't do that. They don't stretch. They don't have that give that cotton and wool have. So yeah, these are not blocked, but they work pretty well. I like having the contrast here. I will probably suggest in the pattern that it's ribbon just for a different look, and so no one has to buy an extra ball of yarn. I haven't decided what color the final pair will be that are in the photos for the pattern. So if you have any ideas, please comment below, and remember to like and subscribe. The next video should be in 2 weeks, but if you want to know exactly when it comes out, hit that notification button as well. And I'll see you next time on What's on My Needles.